Most women are taught to fear the parts of themselves that make the earth tremble. They are raised to suppress the gaze that lingers too long, the silence that intimidates, the sensuality that doesn't apologize. They are taught that to be good is to be small, agreeable, soft, and pleasing. But what would you think if I told you that it is precisely the unspoken, the unyielding, the unrelenting within her, the wild, the primal, the unapologetically mysterious, that makes a man forget how to breathe? Because when a woman embraces her dark feminine, something ancient awakens. She stops asking permission to exist. She stops fearing rejection, stops begging to be chosen. Instead, she begins to move with a strange magnetism that confuses the rationale and stirs the irrational. It's not about being cruel, it's about being whole. It's not about domination, it's about sovereignty. And men, especially those unprepared for a fully individuated woman, don't know what to do when they stand before her. You see, the dark feminine is not evil. That's the first lie they told you. It is not malevolent. It is misunderstood. It is the part of the psyche that Jung called the shadow, the hidden, the repressed, the disowned truths that wait patiently to be seen, held, and integrated. And for women, that shadow often includes power. Not the power to control others, but the power to no longer be controlled. This power unsettles men who are not yet integrated themselves, men who secretly long for a goddess but expect a servant, men who crave the mystery, the heat, the intensity, but flinch when it looks them in the eye and dares them to show up as more than a boy playing the role of a man. A woman who embodies her dark feminine does not chase. She evokes. She doesn't entertain confusion or half measures. Her no is absolute. Her yes is sovereign. She doesn't manipulate, she magnetizes, and she does not belong to anyone but herself. She has met her own rage. She has tasted the bitterness of betrayal and dared to transmute it into clarity. She has looked at her own wounds, not with pity, but with reverence. She has died 1,000 emotional deaths, and each time, she returned more rooted in her essence. And so when a man meets her, truly meets her, he is undone. He is pulled by a force he cannot articulate, not because of how she looks, but because of how she is, because she has nothing to prove, because her presence doesn't ask for validation. It commands reflection. He sees in her everything he has buried within himself, the longing, the chaos, the hunger to be free. But freedom terrifies the man who still clings to his masks. And so, he may try to possess her, thinking if he can name her, he can keep her. He may try to tame her fire, reduce her to a good girl, a predictable partner, a safe investment. But she does not bend for comfort. She is not here to soothe the boy who refuses to grow. She is here to call the man forth, to mirror back to him the parts he has denied, to awaken the warrior, the poet, the king sleeping in his bones. This is why men lose control, because the dark feminine doesn't feed their ego. She threatens it. And yet, paradoxically, she is also what their soul has been craving. She is the feminine embodiment of the oracle, the priestess, the liberator, the woman who knows how to sit in silence without shrinking, who walks away without slamming doors, who forgives but does not forget. She knows her rhythms. She trusts her intuition. She's not waiting to be chosen, because she's already chosen herself. And if you're a woman listening, you've felt this within you, that quiet knowing, that untamed fire, that moment you realized your softness wasn't weakness, it was precision, that your tears weren't collapse, they were initiation, that your anger wasn't shameful, it was sacred. You weren't meant to be a decoration. You were meant to be a storm, but a storm that knows its purpose. A storm that does not destroy, but reorders. To embrace the dark feminine is to no longer fear your shadow, and to stop allowing men to project theirs onto you. It is to walk through life with eyes open and spine straight, unafraid to be misunderstood. Because you were not born to be understood by everyone. You were born to be remembered by those who were ready. And when a woman reclaims this power, not from others but from within herself, the world bends. The men she meets either rise or retreat, because the spell she casts is not cast with words. It is cast in the way she carries herself, in the way she says nothing when once she would have begged, in the way she chooses silence over proving, solitude over settling, and depth over performance. She no longer wants to be admired. She wants to be met. She wants to be met, not worshipped, not rescued, not owned, met. At the threshold where soul recognizes soul, where masks fall and only essence remains. She does not need a man to complete her. She is already whole, but when she opens to connection, it is not from need. It is from fullness, and this is what disrupts men the most. Because when a man is used to being needed for his attention, his resources, his validation, meeting a woman who needs none of it confronts him with his own emptiness. The usual tactics, impressing, dominating, withdrawing, withholding, fail. She doesn't respond to games. She responds to truth. And truth terrifies those who have built their lives around performance. Carl Jung spoke often of the anima, the inner feminine within every man. She is fluid, mysterious, magnetic. And when a man resists her inside himself, he ends up projecting her outside. He places his longing, his chaos, his lost softness onto the women he meets. And if he has not done the work, he will confuse attraction for possession. He will mistake projection for love. But the dark feminine does not allow this. She reflects. She shows him who he is, not who he pretends to be. And many men aren't ready for that mirror. To stand before a woman who has danced with her demons is to feel seen in a way no performance can hide. She won't fix you. She won't chase you. She will simply be sovereign, grounded, and devastatingly unbothered by your approval. And this unbotheredness, it's what haunts men long after she's gone. Because the woman who has embraced her darkness cannot be forgotten. She awakens something you cannot put back to sleep. Not because she made you feel loved, but because she made you feel naked. She spoke to the part of you that longs to drop the armor and be real. But if you clung to your ego, if you flinched at her honesty, if you ran when her silence asked you to rise, then she will not follow. She has better things to do than chase ghosts pretending to be kings. She knows how to be alone. She has found peace in her solitude, not because she hates connection, but because she refuses to settle for fragments. She knows that a man who cannot meet her darkness cannot hold her light. She does not split herself anymore. You will know when you've met her, because she is not the loudest voice in the room. She is the presence you can't stop noticing. The woman whose stillness stirs your soul more than any scream. The one whose boundaries are not threats, they are invitations. She does not explain them. She embodies them. She doesn't demand to be treated like a queen. She moves like one. And so, the uninitiated man tries to tame her through control, shame, or seduction. But it never works, because she is no longer trying to be chosen. She is choosing herself every day, and only the man who meets her with the same depth, the same sovereignty of accord to, will ever be chosen in return. The boy is confused by her. He wants her magic, but fears her fire. He desires her body, but not her soul. He loves her mystery, but not her wounds. He does not yet realize. They are one and the same. The man, however, recognizes her. He has met his own shadow. He has walked through his own dark nights. He does not seek to possess her. He seeks to witness her, to stand beside her, not above, to speak with her, not at, to worship her not with words, but with presence, with truth, with a heart that's no longer afraid to be fully seen. because he knows that to love a woman who has embraced her dark feminine is not a game. It is a rite of passage, and many will fail that rite, not because they are weak, but because they are still asleep. And if you are the woman who has awakened, you must stop dimming your light to make them comfortable. You must stop softening your edge so others can pretend they are sharp. Your darkness is not dangerous, it is divine. Your depth is not too much, it is a filter. The more you walk in your truth, the fewer will walk with you. But those who remain will be real, because the dark feminine does not collect admirers. She ignites initiations, and initiations are not gentle. They burn. They strip away illusion. They bring a man face to face with the boy he still is and the man he must become. The dark feminine does not offer comfort before transformation. She offers truth. And truth, when first encountered, is often mistaken for danger. It shatters fantasies. It collapses false certainty. It exposes the inner scaffolding of a man's soul and reveals where he has not yet grown. She is not here to stroke your ego. She is here to awaken your essence. This is why men who encounter her often lose control, because she cannot be boxed, tamed, or explained. She moves in paradox. She can hold sacred rage and unconditional love in the same breath. She can vanish into silence and still be louder than 1,000 voices. Her presence alone can pierce through defenses men didn't even know they were wearing, and those who are not ready to meet themselves will call her cruel. But she is not cruel. She is clear in her boundaries, clear in her energy, clear in her refusal to carry what is not hers. She will not mother a man who refuses to mature. She will not heal what he insists on hiding. She will not compete for love, perform for affection, or pretend she's okay when she's not. She has unlearned those wounds. She has done her work. She has sat with her shame, traced its roots, and released it. She has grieved the versions of herself that settled, that chased, that bled herself dry to be understood. And now, she does not beg. She does not explain. She simply exits. And when she exits, she leaves more than silence behind. She leaves a mirror that forces a man to face the role he played in her absence, a mirror that reflects every time he mistook her depth for drama, her intuition for insecurity, her truth for threat. And some men will smash the mirror, others will stare into it and begin the work. Because only the man who has kissed his own darkness can hold a woman in hers. He will not flinch at her fire. He will not run when her wounds rise. He will not belittle her emotions or fear her silence. He will recognize the language of depth and respond with presence. He will not try to fix her. He will hold her. He will not try to label her. He will learn her. Not from textbooks, not from techniques, but from his own stillness. Because he has touched that stillness before, inside himself. The woman who walks in her dark feminine knows how to recognize this. She does not fall for charm. She does not chase chemistry. She does not confuse attention for love. She watches. She listens. She reads a man's energy before she ever opens her heart. And when she opens, it is not halfway. It is the kind of love that terrifies the unworthy, not because it is violent, but because it is whole. She does not give you a version of herself. She gives you all of her, if and only if you can hold it without trying to change it. But if you cannot, she will feel it in her body. She will sense the misalignment in her bones. She will not wait for proof. She will not argue with patterns. She will not ignore the whispers of her intuition. She will walk away, even with love in her chest, because she does not confuse love with loss of self. And this is what haunts a man long after she's gone. Not just that she left, but that she never needed to stay, that her love was never born of desperation, that her presence was a gift, not a plea, that everything he felt around her, the aliveness, the mystery, the ache, was a reflection of himself. She didn't give him magic. She revealed it. And now, without her, he feels hollow. Not because she took anything, but because she showed him what he wasn't ready to become. This is the spell of the dark feminine. She shows you who you could be, then steps aside. And that gap between who you are and who you now know you can be, that's the real ache. That's what keeps you awake at night. That's what replays her words in your mind like a riddle you can't solve. Because she didn't come to complete your story. She came to awaken your own. And once she awakens it, you cannot unknow what you now see. You cannot unfeel the truth her presence provoked. You cannot return to the numbness that once felt like safety, because she left a crack in your armor. And through that crack, your soul is now begging to breathe. That is her gift. But she does not linger to watch you rise. She does not wait to see if you'll follow. She disappears like a storm that cleansed everything in its path, leaving you soaked in clarity and trembling in the ruins of who you used to be. And perhaps that's what unnerves you the most. She did not need you to become. She was already whole. She simply offered you a glimpse into your own untapped greatness, then vanished before you could use her light as a crutch. Because the dark feminine does not save you. She summons you to reclaim the power you've buried beneath performance, to face the child within you who still fears being truly seen, to stop seeking mothering from women and start fathering your own soul, to rise from comfort into capacity, to strip yourself of entitlement and step into earned reverence. And if you are the woman, the one who feels this truth vibrating in her bones, then hear this. Your power was never too much. It was simply unrecognized by those who have not yet met their own. Your silence is not a void. It is a field of truth that only the brave dare walk into. Your boundaries are not walls. They are sacred, altars that demand reverence. Your desire is not dangerous, it is directional. And your intensity is not a flaw. It is the echo of your ancestors, women who burned for daring to feel, to speak, to want. You carry their wildness. You carry their fire. And now it is yours to wield not in reaction, but in revelation. No longer perform. No longer over-explain. No longer ask others to validate what you know. You are not here to be palatable. You are here to be powerful. To be the kind of woman who can hold paradox. To cry without crumbling. To walk away while loving. To demand more without shaming. You can wear velvet and steel. You can kiss with softness and leave without warning. You can grieve and still say no. You can nurture and command. You are not here to fit into the shallow categories of feminine ideals. You are here to shatter them. And when you walk into this truth, truly walk into it, men will feel it. Not just in your eyes, not just in your words, but in your absence. They will feel it when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop auditioning for love, when you stop entertaining men who offer the bare minimum. They will feel it when your silence becomes louder than their excuses, when your peace becomes more sacred than their attention, when your energy, once so easily given, is now a temple they must earn access to. You become untouchable, not because you're guarded, but because you're guarded by grace. Your aura shifts. Your nervous system no longer chases. You don't beg the world to choose you because you've already chosen yourself. In 1,000 moments when no one was watching. In the nights you cried without collapsing. In the mornings you rose without applause. In the quiet rebirths that taught you your darkness was never a curse. It was a compass. This is the essence of the dark feminine. She doesn't destroy. She reveals. And what cannot stand in her presence falls away. So let them fall. Let the man who fears your wholeness retreat. Let the friend who cannot meet your truth disappear. Let the world that profits from your confusion lose access to your mind. Because your clarity is sacred. Your body is sacred. Your becoming is sacred. And when you embody this, not conceptually, but viscerally, you stop walking into rooms asking, "Do they like me?" and start wondering, "Do I resonate with them?" You stop molding yourself for the male gaze and start moving with the rhythm of your own pulse. You stop seeking mirrors outside and start trusting the one within. Because when a woman walks with her shadow beside her and not behind her, she becomes ungovernable, not rebellious, remembered. Remembered by the earth, remembered by her bloodline, remembered by the men who flinch at her fire, and the rare few who are reborn by it. And now, the final metamorphosis begins. When a woman no longer fears her own darkness, she becomes sovereign in ways that no relationship, no achievement, no social mask could ever offer. She is not ruled by craving or avoidance. She is not addicted to being liked. She is not seduced by the illusion of external approval. She becomes empty of pretense and full of presence. She walks with a quiet power that cannot be borrowed, mimicked, or taught. Because it is not a performance, it is the residue of having been tempered by her own becoming. She has walked through the fire. She has faced her shadows without flinching. And now, she moves like someone who cannot be owned, only witnessed. This is the final terror for the unawakened man. Not that she is too much, but that she needs nothing from him to remain who she is. The fantasy of being her hero, her savior, her superior, all gone. In her presence, his usual tools are useless. He cannot dominate her. He cannot manipulate her with silence. He cannot impress her with status. The only thing that moves her is depth. Depth of thought. Depth of honesty, depth of self-awareness. And if he cannot meet her there, she will not lower herself. She will leave, not to punish him, but to preserve herself. She has learned her light is not up for auction. Her soul is not a vending machine. Her heart is not a charity. And as she rises into this embodied knowing, her life changes. The men who once circled her like moths no longer dare approach, not because she is cruel, but because her clarity is unmistakable. The ones who do approach come not to consume, but to contribute, not to fix her, but to honor her, because she no longer allows access to those who haven't accessed themselves. There's a new serenity in her silence now. It no longer says, "I'm waiting." It says, "I have arrived." She smiles less to please. She speaks less to fill space. She loves more selectively, more fully, more fiercely, and with less fear of loss, because she no longer clings. She no longer begs. She no longer asks life to choose her. She chooses life. She chooses the solitude that deepens her, the friendships that see her, the passions that ignite her, and the path that challenges her to rise again and again, not as an offering to the world, but as a commitment to her own soul. This is the rebirth. This is the arrival. She does not shame the girl she once was, the girl who overgave, who doubted, who made herself small to be loved. No. She kisses her on the forehead. She thanks her for surviving. And she tells her gently, "You can rest now. I'll take it from here, because now the woman is here, the one who holds her softness like a sword and her silence like a sermon, the one who chooses herself so deeply that rejection becomes redirection and loneliness becomes a sacred passage, not a punishment, the one who no longer competes because her lane is unoccupied, the one who is not afraid of the dark because she is the dark. She has mastered it, she has danced in it, and now she builds from it. So, if you are a woman walking this path, walk boldly. If you have felt that ache, that pull, that sense that there is more to you than what the world reflects back, honor it. Stop performing. Stop apologizing. Stop seeking safety in cages made of gold. You were never meant to be tamed. You were meant to remember. Remember the woman who once whispered from the shadows. Remember the one who watched from within as you gave your power away. She is no longer hiding. She is here now, in your voice, in your spine, in your unwavering gaze, and the world is not ready for her. But she is no longer waiting for the world. She is choosing herself, her truth, her wildness, her wholeness, and letting the rest fall away. Because the woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.